Hello?
Hello.
Hello, who do we have here?
Tom Davis?
Hey, Tom.
Mike McHugh.
Yep, we're just about ready to start here in just a minute. Spencer, we'll have you sit in here for now. Mr. Spence is not called in yet. Not for sure if he is going to be calling in yet, but if he does call in, you can remove yourself, and then Mr. Spence will be on the board. So, but for now, you can stay right there. Yep. So.
Good evening and welcome to the Brookings County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This meeting is being recorded, televised, and viewable on Swiftel Channel 19, ITC Channel 168, or Brookings County YouTube channel. Call for roll call.
Okay. Yes.
We'll do a roll call to see who is present.
Bartley.
Here.
McHugh.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Kleinjohn.
Here.
Vanderwall.
Here.
Spence. Jensen. Erickson.
Here.
Dietrich.
Here.
And Ford.
Here.
All right, we have 9 members here, so we can have a full board.
Next agenda item is the approval of minutes.
Move approval.
Motion by Bartley,
Second.
second by Dietrich. Richard, would you take a roll call vote?
Yes, we'll call the roll. Bartley.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
McHugh.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Agenda item number 3, items to be added to the agenda by commission members or staff. Is there any?
No, we'll add those. If anything, it'll be during our director's report.
Okay. Agenda item number 4, invitation for citizens to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Seeing none, moving on. Agenda item number 5, disclosure of conflicts of interest, relationships to applicant, ex parte communication. Item number 6, approval of agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall,
Second.
second by Dietrich. Richard, would you take a roll call vote?
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Kleinjohn.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
McHugh.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I will now call this meeting to order. I would like to welcome those in attendance at tonight's meeting. The Brookings County Planning Commission is a 9-member commission whose function is to recommend approval or disapproval of use plans, zoning ordinances, subdivision plans, and amendments thereof. The Brookings County Commission. The commission makes its recommendation based upon the adopted comprehensive plan for the physical development of the unincorporated areas of Brookings County. As a matter of policy, all motions are to be made in the positive After a motion is moved and seconded, is it open for debate? Those supporting the motion shall in turn give their reasons. Those opposing the motion shall then offer their reasons. After everyone has been given a chance to be heard, the commission shall recommend approval or disapproval based on the testimony and information presented. A simple majority vote of a quorum of members of the Planning and Zoning Board in attendance is required to forward a recommendation. Agenda item 2020, Plat 010, plat of Block 1, Alankowicz Edition in the northeast 1/4 of Section 10, Township 110 North, Range 50 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion by Bartley, second by Vanderwall. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes. Plat 2020, Plat 010, Kyle Alankowicz is planting off 20 acres that contain the homestead, the building site and pasture from the balance of the quarter of 160 acres. The farmstead will use a Western Avenue for access to the homestead, and it meets the plating requirements of the 2016 Comprehensive Plan and this joint Brookings City, Brookings County Joint Jurisdiction Ordinance, Article 4, Section 4.03. Here's the proposed plat. This is Western Avenue here, building site, the boundaries around there. There's a beacon map with the in red outline and proposed going around the pasture ground, coming down here and back. There's just a beacon map of the whole quarter. And that's all that I have.
Is the applicant present or on the phone?
No, he is not.
Well, I'll open the public hearing portion. Is there anybody here on the phone that is for this? Closing that. Is there anybody here on the phone that is against this? Seeing none, we will close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comment? Anybody here from the audience for or against it? Board members, any additional comments or questions?
That basically meets all the criteria, so.
Yes, correct.
Hearing none. Richard, would you call for a vote?
Klein John.
Aye.
McHugh. McHugh.
Aye.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Klein John. Oh, we got Darrell. Erickson.
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
And Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Agenda item, excuse me, agenda item 2020 Plat 011, plat of Block 1, Omen Second Edition in Government Lot 8 and 9 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 12, Township 112 North, Range 48W, PF of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So
Motion
moved.
by Erickson,
Second.
second by Vanderwall. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes, 2020 Plat 011, Todd Troyan of Troyan Land Company is planting off 8.41 acre parcel The parcel is currently in grass, and no residence can be built on the parcel as it does not meet the 35-acre requirement, and is not a historical or current building site. Accessory buildings such as grain bins or storage shed could be built on the property, and access will be off Brookings County Blacktop Road number 42, also known as 197th Street. Here's a parcel of land here, square in the triangle shape down here. They're platting this to access of lot down here in Omen Addition, so they can have access to that property is the reason for the platting of that. There is a potential purchase agreement between the two landowners, so. Shows the beacon map with the grass area, just squaring that off with the farmland. You can see the driveway, that is the path that is still here for that, and that's how they would access this property instead of going through. They own this property already, but just easier way access to that Omen Addition Lot 3 there. And just the beacon map showing the same green area as the area that they're platting off. And the applicant knows that, and the buyer knows that a house cannot be built on there. But if they want to build a grain bin or an outbuilding, accessory building, that could be built. So, and that's all that I have.
Is the applicant here or on the phone? Would they step forward?
No, they are not here or on the phone.
They're not here or on the phone. Okay, opening the public hearing. Is there anybody on the phone or in attendance that would like to speak on being for this? Is there anybody present here or on the phone that would like to speak against this? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Pretty straightforward, so Richard, would you call the roll, please?
Erickson,
Yes.
Dietrich,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye. Moving on to agenda item 2020 Plat 012, plat of Block 1 Intermill Mizar Addition in the southeast 1/4 of Section 12, Township 110 North, Range 51W of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Block 2 Intermill Mizar Addition in the northeast 1/4 of Section 13, Township 110 North, Range 51W of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion? Motion by Diedrich,
Second.
second by Vanderwall. Richard, would you please read the staff report?
Yes, 2020 Plat 009, Emil and Wanda Mizar are platting off 10.4 acres from the 160 acres they're owned in Section 12 that contains the existing homestead. The homestead will use the existing driveway located on 210th Street for access. They're also platting off 21.5 acres from the 106 acres they own in Section 13, which is directly across the road to the south of the homestead. The homestead will use the existing driveway for access to the property. And Block 1 contains the existing residence with no other outbuildings, and Block 2 contains an existing pole shed, barn, silos, grain bins, feedlot, and other miscellaneous structures, but no residence. A residence cannot be built in Block 2 as it does not contain the required 35 acres. Both Block 1 and Block 2 are located in the floodplain, and any future building would need a Brookings County floodplain development permit and meet and follow FEMA guideline standards for building in the floodplain. And it does meet our comprehensive plan for the rural land use on page 24. Just a copy of the plat. This would be Block 1 with the existing residence over here. This is block 2 with the other outbuildings, the pole shed, silos, grain bins, and other miscellaneous buildings here. This is County Road 7, which is 466th Avenue, otherwise known as the road going to Bruce, just east of Volga, and this is 210th Street. Just the beacon map right here. This is the 21. This is block 2 with the outbuildings. This is block 1 with the current residents and on there. Just the beacon maps here showing the block 1 of the existing residents and block 2 with the barn and outbuildings and other agricultural structures. And that's all that I have.
Is the applicant here or on the phone?
The applicant is not.
The applicant is not. Okay. We will open the public portion of the hearing. Is there anybody in the audience or on the phone that is a proponent of this? Is there anybody in the audience or on the phone that is an opponent of this? Closing the public hearing section. Is there any additional comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you call the roll?
Dietrich,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes. Just a comment to the board, make sure your mics are on. I'm not quite hearing everybody's, you respond to that, so make sure the little green light is on your mics, please.
Agenda item 2020 plat 013, plat of Block 1 Jensen Edition in the northeast 1/4 of the northwest 1/4 of Section 32, Township 110 North, Range 48W of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall,
Second.
second by Erickson. Staff report, please.
Yes, 2020 plat 013, Lawrence and Pat Jensen are platting off a 4-acre site that contains a residence and an outbuilding from the 40 acres that they own. The residence was built in 2014, and they will use the existing driveway, which is located on 213th Street, for access to the property. The building site needs to be excluded with a separate legal description for financial purposes, as their son is purchasing the balance of the 35.7 acres, along with 120 acres of the farmland in the quarter, to continue the family farming operation, which we have a letter from the financial institution which was included in your report. This request is a little different from other ones where we've allowed smaller ones for financial purposes, but this is subdividing it so that the larger part can get financial approval for the larger tract versus the small tract. So, and the owners will continue to live on the building site and continue with the farming operation. And it does meet the comprehensive plan on page 24 for the agricultural land use. This shows the plat. This is the 40 acres here, and this is the goes around the perimeter of the trees, which we'll note here on the beacon map in just a minute. Here's the beacon map showing around the perimeter of the trees, up the quarter section line, around that and back again. So this little parcel would be included with the larger parcel for the purchase by their son. Just shows the beacon map right here. This is the 40 acres. This balance of the 160 is down here. This is another separate 40 that would be included in that. So we included all this area down in there also. And that's all that I have.
Is the applicant present or on the phone?
No, they are not.
Okay, we will open the public portion of the hearing. Is there anybody for this in the audience or on the phone? Hearing none, Is there anybody that is an opponent in the audience or on the phone? Hearing none, I'll close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none, Richard, would you call a roll call vote?
Bartley,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Dietrich.
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh, and Ford, excuse me.
Aye.
Motion still passes. Sorry, Chad.
I'm easy to forget about. We will now convene as the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is a 9-member board which has the power to hear requests for variances, conditional uses, appeals, and special exceptions. The concurring vote of 2/3 of the attending members is necessary for approval of any action by the board. A 9-member board requires 6 votes, and a 6-member board requires 6 votes. In accordance with Robert Rules of Order, we require a motion to approve a request before the request can be debated. As a matter of policy, all motions are made in the positive. The board, under specific powers granted to it by the state, shall authorize variances from zoning requirements where special conditions existing on the land will result in an unnecessary hardship for the applicant. Financial disadvantage to the property owner shall not constitute proof of unnecessary hardship. Item number 2020, variance 004. Keith Drew has made an application to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance Article 4 District Requirements, Chapter 4.03 Lake Park District, Section 4.03.03, Density, Area, and Yard Regulation, Minimum Lakefront. The property is described as Lot 53, DeBoers, Lake Tatanka, West Subdivision, and Government Lots 1, 4, 5, and 6, and in Section 1, 4, 5, and 6, Section 7, Township 111 North, Range 51W, Oakwood Township, located at 77 Oakwood Shoreline Drive, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kleinjohn, second by Erickson.
Yes, 2020 variance 004. Keith Drew has applied for variance to build an 8x28 addition onto the end of his existing lake cabin, and along with that, a 10-foot by 38-foot attached deck. And the outer support post of the deck would be 43 feet from the highest known watermark, a variance of 32 feet. The Lake Park lakefront setbacks are 75 feet from the highest high water mark. The applicant has an existing 26 by 28 single-story cabin on his lot that is built into the side hill. He is proposing to build an 8-foot by 26-foot addition onto the end of the cabin, removing the existing roof and adding a second story over the existing first floor of the cabin and the new addition. The cabin addition and second story will not be any closer to the lake than the current structure. The proposed attached 10-foot by 38-foot deck is where the variance is required. The proposed deck and the addition will meet the side setbacks of 8 feet from the property line. The addition and the deck will not block the view of the adjoining landowners on either side of the existing cabin, as it sits back farther. And the property is located in the floodplain, and they will need to follow floodplain building requirements. These lake locks and cabins have existed on Lake Titankaha, which is commonly known as Lake Oakwood, since the 1930s and 40s, prior to the zoning requirements. And DeBoers Lake Titankaha West Subdivision was originally platted in 1984, replatted in 2003, when the original road was vacated and relocated. And it does meet the comprehensive plan for the lake use on page 58 for continued development. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners and the Oakwood Township Chairman and Clerk. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on May 19th and 26th, 2020, and the Volga Tribune on May 21st and 28th, 2020. And we did receive comments from two adjoining landowners, and I can read those when you ask for comments for those. Here's the variance application. The applicant's floor plan. This is the deck here would come around to the lakeside and wrap around to the north, and then back steps going down there. It's just the north view of the proposed upper story addition. This is the south view, I believe. East view, this would be towards the lake. This would be the south elevation. This, I believe, is the roadside. Yes, the west elevation right here. Here's the beacon map showing the existing parcel. This is the existing cabin with the flat roof on there. This is where the 8-foot wide addition would go. And the deck would go all along the existing portion and the 8-foot addition along here. This is just the beacon map showing the floodplain. Over some pictures. This is looking east towards the lake. This is the existing cabin right there. This one is the existing cabin with the property line right there. This is the north property line. This is where the 8-foot addition would come out on the south side of the property, just right here where the wheel is. It would still leave 8 foot between that and the south property line to meet the setbacks. This is looking towards the south. This is where the edge of the deck would be, right here, out 10 feet from the house. And that is 43 feet from the highest known watermark down here. This is just looking towards the north at the 10-foot distance there. That is a well that they would build over or around, maybe modify that just a little bit, but that is an existing well house right there. This is looking towards the end on the south side of the property, 8 foot from the side of the house and 9 feet from the property line. This is just looking back towards the north again right here. This is the north side of the cabin. This is looking down at the high water mark, looking towards the south. As you can see, this cabin is out farther than the other ones. This is looking back north. Other cabin is sitting out farther. This is just looking up the hill from the dock towards his cabin. That's all that I have. The applicant and his contractor are on the phone this evening, so that's all that I have for right now.
Mr. Drew, is there anything you would like to add to what Richard said?
Yeah, I think these pretty much summed it up.
Okay. Well then, if that's all you got, we'll go to the public hearing portion. Is there anybody for this in the audience?
I will get the letters here 1 second from the adjoining landowners that we received.
I guess, did Mr. Knapp want to say anything about the project, or?
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry, I guess. It's in the floodplain, but it's been removed. I think it's being removed right now. It's clearly out of the floodplain, so that's not an issue. The property is further back than the adjoining cabin owner, so he won't be obstructing any view. He's been there since he was 8 years old. He's lived there, so it's been a project that's been planned to do since they built that cabin with a flat roof on it. They were always intended to go up and never did, but the cabin's there, and that's where, that's the only place there is to go. So, and going to put rural water in, and the well will probably be removed, or maybe it would stay, but I guess that's about all I got.
Thank you.
Here's a comment we received from Hugh Randall. I've informed him of the additions and changes to be made to number 77 Oakwood Shoreline Drive belonging to Keith Drew. I have no concerns or objections with any of the proposed additions or construction to be built on the property. Hugh Randall, lot number 78. Whoop. Another comment received, Susan Ryan. Been informed of the additions and changes to be made on lot to number 77 Oakwood Shoreline Drive belonging to Keith Drew. I have no concerns or objections with any of the proposed additions or constructions to be built on the property. Lot 76. Those are the only comments that we have received.
Is there any other comments from any members of the audience or on the phone for this?
Mr. Chair, this is Luke Muller.
Yes, Luke.
I just had one question for clarification. Is this a second story deck, or is part of this going to be kind of flush with the ground?
This is Sean. The second story deck, it will be a second story deck, and there'll probably be some concrete poured underneath that deck for just a patio or something.
Okay, it was just a question for information purposes. Thanks.
Okay. Is there any other proponents for this? Seeing none, is there any opponents to this in the audience or on the phone? Seeing none, I will close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you read the findings of the facts?
Yes, I'll read the first part, then after the rest of them, I'll just go over the highlighted areas. But Brookings County zoning ordinance variance 2020 application for variance have been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as a Brookings County Board of Adjustment. A copy of the application be attached here too. Such application being made by Keith Drew regarding the following real property. Lot 53, DeBoers, Lake Tetonkaha, West Subdivision, and Government Lots 1, 4, 5, and 6 in Section 7, Township 111 North, Range 51 West, Oakwood Township. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on the second day of June 2020. Number 1, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment hereby finds that the strict application of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would produce undue hardship, that such hardship is not shared generally by other properties in the same district in the same vicinity, that the authorization of such variance will not be substantial detriment to the adjacent property, and the character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance, and that the granting of such variance is based upon reasonable, demonstrable, and exceptional hardship as distinguished from variations for the purpose of convenience, profit, and caprice. Number 2, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that the condition or situation of the property concerned or the intended use of the property is not so general or recurring nature as to make reasonable, practicable the formulation of a general regulation to be adopted as an amendment to the zoning ordinance. Number 3, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finds that the written application of the petitioner demonstrates that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or buildings in the same district, that literal interpretation of the provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of the ordinance, that the special conditions or circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, and that granting the variance requested will not confer the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the ordinance to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Number 4, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further finding that the reasons set forth in the application justify the granting of the variance, and that the variance is a minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and the intent of the Brookings County zoning ordinance, and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Number 5, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, shape and size of the lot. B, the lake lots and cabins on Lake Tetonkaha, otherwise known as Lake Oakwood, were constructed in the 1930s and 40s. DeBoers Lake West Tetonkaha West Subdivision was originally platted in 1984 and replatted in June of 2003, when the original road was vacated and relocated prior to the current Lake Park zoning regulations. Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants petitioner of the variance for the above describable property as follows. Build an 8-foot by 28 addition with a 10-foot by 38-foot attached deck to the lake cabin with the support post to be 43 feet from the highest known watermark. The proposed addition and deck will need to follow FEMA floodplain guidelines as the property is located in the floodplain. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all conditions and safeguards in 5 above and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated the 2nd day in June, 2020. Any additions or corrections to that?
Is there any additions or corrections to the findings of the facts? Richard, would you call the vote?
Klein John,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Dietrich,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 2020, variance 005, Michael J. Robbins for the THOFF Incorporated has made an application 2020 variance 005 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance Article 11.00, Section 11.01A, Agricultural District Area Regulation. Number 2, front yard minimum depth of front yard shall be 100 feet. A corner lot shall have 2 front yards. The property is described as the south 950 feet of the east 950 feet of the southeast 1/4 in Section 22, Township 111 North, Range 49W, Afton Township, located at 20593 476th Avenue in White, South Dakota 57276. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Klein John, second by Bartley.
Yes, 2020 variance VAR 005, Mike Robbins for THOFF Incorporated has applied for a variance to build a 28 by 28 residential addition 104 feet from the center of 476th Avenue, a variance of 29 feet. The required setback is 133 feet from the center of 476th Avenue, which is an Afton Township gravel road. Things to consider are the shape and the size of the farmyard, and the existing house was built in 1993 prior to the current setback requirements. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on May 19th and 26th, 2020, and the White Tri-City Star on May 21st and 28th, 2020. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners, the Afton Township Chairman and Clerk, and we've heard no response from any of the adjoining landowners or correspondence for anybody. And regarding this, there's just the variance application. The site plan, existing house, garage, pole shed, barn over here, there's a pole shed over here. We'll see, show that in my pictures here. Just the existing beacon map, showing the distance using beacon, 104 feet from the center of the 476 to the edge of the house. It does meet the setback from 206th Street as it is on a corner lot, and it does have 2 front yards there. There's the existing garage that is there, a pole shed, other outbuildings here. Just looking in from the road, this is the north edge of the addition, which would be 28 feet. This is looking towards the south there, off the the edge of the house. Looking in from the road again here, along the trees, it'd be kind of hidden behind the existing trees that are there. Just looking in towards the west of the farmyard, from the north edge of the addition, parking area for the house and other buildings out there. This is just looking south from the driveway. Be kind of hidden, sheltered behind the existing trees that are there. This is looking towards the north. Like I say, clear view either direction. This is just looking at the intersection of 476th and 206th Street, which is the south of the house. And like I say, it's hidden back in behind the existing trees, and that's all that I have. And I believe the contractor is here this evening representing the homeowner. So.
Okay, would the applicant or the contractor like to step forward?
My name is Mike Robbins.
Have a seat and use that one.
My name is Mike Robbins. I'm here for the Thompson Farms, and just to do an addition onto the 28 feet north and 28 feet wide. It's going to more or less just open up the living room for what they want. Just when all the kids come home, just have enough room for everybody to kind of meet in one spot.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. We'll move on to the public portion of the hearing. Is there anybody on the phone or in the audience that is a proponent of this? Is there anybody in the audience or on the phone that is an opponent of this? Hearing none, we will close the public portion of the hearing. Does any member of the board have additional comments or questions? Hearing none, Richard, would you read the findings of the facts?
Yes, Brookings County Zoning Variance 2020 VAR 005, an application for the variance have been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment, a copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by Mike Robbins for THOFF Inc. regarding the following real property: the south 950 feet of the east 950 feet of the southeast 1/4 of Section 22, Township 111 North, Range 49 West, Afton Township. After due notice, a public hearing having been held on the application on the 2nd day of June 2020. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions and safeguards. A, the shape and size of the lot, location of existing buildings built prior to the current zoning ordinance for agricultural setback requirements. Brookings County Board of Adjustment, by at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants above petitioner a variance for the above described real property as follows. Build a 28 by 28 residential addition 104 feet from the center of 476th Avenue. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all conditions and safeguards in 5 above and upon compliance with all applicable provisions of Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. This variance is not used within 3 years of the date valid. Date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated the 2nd day of June, 2020.
Is there any additions or corrections to the finding of the facts? Seeing none, Richard, would you call the roll?
Erickson,
Yes.
Dietrich,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Agenda item 2020 variance 006. Todd and Rachel Schmidt have made an application 2020 variance 006 to the Brookings County Board of Adjustment for a variance Article 4 District Requirements, Chapter 4.03 Lake Park District, Section 4.03.03 Density Area and Yard Regulation Minimum Lakefront. The property is described as Lot 35 of DeBoer's Lake Titonkaha West Subdivision and Government Lots 1, 4, 5, and 6 in Section 7, Township 111 North, Range 51W, Oakwood Township, located at 53 Oakwood Shoreline Drive, Bruce, South Dakota 57220. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall,
Second.
second by Kleinjohn. Richard, would you read the staff report?
Yes. (2020) variance 006, Todd and Rachel Schmidt have applied for variance to build a 16 by 28-foot attached covered deck onto their existing residence. The outer support post of the proposed deck is 27 feet on the north end from the highest known watermark, a variance of 48 feet, and 34 feet on the south end, a variance of 41 feet. The Lake Park lakefront setbacks are 75 feet from the high water mark. The shoreline gets farther away from the structure as it goes south. The applicant has an existing 14 by 20 attached deck 22 feet from the high water mark. The proposed 16 by 28 foot deck, covered deck, will be farther away from the high water mark than the existing deck. And the proposed deck will meet the side setback of 8 feet. The applicants will also be doing a cabin remodel, which will include an attached garage and a second-story addition above the current residence. The remodel additions will meet all the setbacks requirements, which are 8 feet from the side and 25 feet from the road. And the variance is for the covered deck. The property is located in the floodplain and then will need to follow the floodplain building requirements. And lake lots and cabins have existed on Lake Titonkaha, which is otherwise called Lake Oakwood, since 1930 and 40s, prior to the zoning requirements. And DeBoer's Lake Titonkaha West subdivision was originally platted in 1984. It was replatted in June of 2003 when the road was vacated and relocated. It does meet the comprehensive plan for future site development of the lake use on page 58 of the comprehensive plan. Letters were sent to the adjoining landowners and the Oakwood Township Chairman and Clerk, and we received no correspondence for or against this variance request. Public notices were published in the Brookings Register on May 19th and 26th, 2020, and the Volga Tribune on May 21st and 28th, 2020. There's the variance application. This is their site plan showing the old deck. This is 23 feet. This is the new deck coming out 16 feet. This is a proposed elevation looking at it from the lakeside with the covered deck and the deck in the upper story there. This is from looking towards the east from the road, showing the proposed attached garage that we adding on. This is the south elevation. This will be the north elevation. And this is the existing lot and cabin right here. This is where the existing covered deck would go right here. They will meet the side setback of 8 feet on either side. And the proposed garage would come out this way towards, right in there, towards the 25 feet from the edge of the road. Beacon map just showing the floodplain. This is looking towards the lake. This is the north property line right here. And this is looking just down the property line. This is the existing cabin. This is the south property line right here. This is where the 16 feet would come out from the existing cabin out 20 or 16 feet right here, which would be farther away from the lake than what the current deck is. This is just showing the lot line. On the lake side, it's the adjoining landowner is pretty close, built right on the lot line there, but he does meet the 8-foot setbacks right here, which is on the north side of the cabin. This is on the south side right here, showing the south property line. And it will meet the setback from 8 feet from the edge of the deck to that. So this is just looking north where the 16 feet comes out right here at this post right here. This is just looking down the shoreline towards the north. Be right even or back just a little bit than existing residences and buildings to the north. And that's all that I have.
Okay. Would the applicant please step forward and state your name and
I'm
tell us
Todd
what-
Smith. I'm the homeowner.
do you have anything to add to Richard's report?
I do. Going through the floodplain right now. I had them come and survey everything to get me out of that. So I'm started the paperwork on that. So that's gonna be done soon. And the reason why we're doing this is to get a little bit more room for ourselves, and when we have our family come over, we can enjoy the lake life there and be on the deck. And so yeah, that's about pretty much it, I guess.
Okay. That being stated there, we'll open the public portion of the hearing. Is there anybody in the audience or on the phone that is for this? Hearing none, is there anybody in the audience or on the phone that is an opponent of this? Hearing none, I will close the public portion of the hearing. Is there any additional comments or questions from members of the board?
Just one, I really appreciate the renderings. This looks like it's going to be a great addition to the cabin you got, and I really like the covered deck. That I think a lot of people forget that the covered deck really adds to the place.
All right.
It makes it useful
It does.
all the time.
Yep.
So nice
Thank you.
renderings. I like that.
Any other comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, Richard, would you read the findings of the facts?
Yes, this again, I'll read the first page and go over the highlighted areas with just mentioning the number. Brookings County Zoning Variance 2020 VAR 006. Application for variance have been filed with the Brookings County Zoning Commission, acting as the Brookings County Board of Adjustment. Copy of the application being attached here too. Such application being made by Todd and Rachel Schmidt regarding the following real property. Lot 35 of DeBoer's Lake Titankaha West Subdivision in government lots 1, 4, 5, and 6 in Section 7, Township 111 North, Range 51 West, Oakwood Township. After due notice, a public hearing have been filed on the application on the 2nd day of June, 2020. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5, the Brookings County Board of Adjustment further determines and conditions this variance upon the following special conditions or safeguards. A, shape and size of the lot. B, the lake lots and cabins on Lake Titankaha, otherwise known as Lake Oakwood, were constructed in the 1930s and 40s. DeBoer's Lake Titankaha West Subdivision was originally platted in 1984 and replatted in June of 2003, when the original road was vacated and relocated prior to the current Lake Park zoning requirements. The Brookings County Board of Adjustment, at least 2/3 vote of its full membership, hereby grants the petitioner a variance for the above described real property as follows. Lay 16 by 28 attached deck to their lake cabin with the support post being 27 feet on the north end and 34 feet on the south end from the highest known watermark. The proposed deck will need to meet and follow FEMA floodplain guidelines as the property is located in the floodplain. This variance is specifically conditioned upon initial and continued compliance with all the conditions and safeguards in 5 above. upon compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. If approved, the Brookings County zoning director is authorized to issue any required building permits for construction consistent with the terms of this variance. If this variance is not used within 3 years of the date granted, it shall be invalid. Dated the second day of June, 2020.
Is there anything to be added to the findings of the facts? Hearing none, Richard, would you please call for a vote?
Dietrich,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Agenda item number 13, department reports. Okay, agenda item number
Yep,
4.
just, when I get down here, I'll be, next month, we're looking at having proposed update to the, bylaws to be voted on. Just updating that with the current, teleconference that we're doing and a couple other things just to bring their bylaws up to date on that. And, as of right now, I think we're meeting, ahead of time. Not for sure yet, but we'll let you know with the joint meeting with the city county. I think those might be resuming here shortly. So we'll keep you posted on that, and that's all I have.
Is Luke still on the phone?
I am, and I've got nothing to add.
Just a quick question. This is Commissioner Bartley. What exactly do you think our next step is with the joint at that meeting?
I know that I had, someone had mentioned something about just kind of like a recap of where we're at with the wellhead, but that was mostly all put to bed. I know there was one thing that had been wanted to be brought back up for a little bit of a discussion, but otherwise we were going to talk about the area south of town where we would have potentially some small lot development. That would be the next part we'd talk about.
Okay, thank you, Luke.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there any need for an executive session this evening? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Vanderwall. Second by Erickson.
Bartley,
Aye.
McHugh,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Kleinjohn,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Dietrich,
Aye.
and Ford.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.